Alright, I'm back with another one of my single match videos. This time I'm going to do a replay of a match that I thought was pretty fun and it turned out well for me, so that definitely helped. So step number one. So first I want to point out that my opponent's name is Dark Depths Aniki, which kind of gives away what they might be on. I didn't want to trust it too much, but they were on Depths. So, that would be like me having DDFT guy as my username. But anyway, so to start things off, I win the roll, and this hand is pretty reasonable. It's got you know a combo piece, some cantrip, some disruption, and some mana. So like I'm not gonna throw this back. Although the fact that I was on just one land was a little sketchy, but I was kind of hoping some of those cantrips would smooth things out a bit. So let's see. So I'd probably start off with Thoughtseize here, maybe. Looks like the Thoughtseize. And I bungled this a little bit. I want to see if we can bring that back. So I took, they had a Thoughtseize that I took, but I screwed this up a little bit because they could very easily go play out the Verdant Catacombs and then crop rotate for Urborg and then play Hexmage off of Urborg and Dark Depths on turn 2 and kill me on turn 3. So I probably should have just eaten the discard here and taken the Hex Mage or something. But on the other hand, their hand's pretty resilient. Like if I take the crop rotation, they still have the Hex Mage. If I take the Hex Mage, they still have the crop rotation. So it's not like I can take all their combo pieces. Um, so taking the Thoughtseize isn't awful here because it's going to prevent them from disrupting me, and also we'll see that it kind of um, made them play a little slower. So I play Skeleton, I just brainstorm here. And I think let's see. So it looks like I'm wanting to put back Doomsday and the Limdual's Vault, presumably to protect myself against them possibly top decking some discard. I'm not sure that I 100% agree with this in hindsight. Let's see what I actually ended up doing. Okay, so I put back. Fuck, I missed it. Oh, I think it was a Duress and Thoughtseize, and that's probably fine because the Duress isn't going to do anything. So oh, and now I can't. I cracked my fetch land and cantripped here. So I was thinking like I'm gonna get one more turn, and my game plan is gonna be cast um, frenzy and try and kill them. But I was also thinking that I would potentially be able to Limdual's Wall and upkeep, and if I hit like Dark Grit LED Doomsday, I would be able to just kill. Um, and so that didn't end up happening. Um, and so, but they still haven't tried to kill me yet. So here I'm just I fetch basic swamp so that presumably like I'm gonna whiff off this frenzy. It's not likely that I kill right away. Um, so I wanted to make sure that I had 3 lands that could make black. So if I drew Doomsday, I would be able to cast it. Like if my next turn when I untap, if there was a Doomsday on top, I'd be able to cast it. And I didn't want to play the Badlands that was in my hand because I wanted to get another land out of my deck so my frenzy would be a little better. So I got the basic swamp, and I used my Lotus Petal to cast the Frenzy. And of course, this Preordain on top can't cast it, so I'm done there. So at this point, now they're going to cast the Hex Mage and threaten Dark Depths next turn. But fortunately for me, there's a Doomsday on top. So getting the basic swamp was the right thing to do, or making sure that I had 3 black lands was definitely the right play there. So that's always something to kind of be aware of, is that especially if you're kind of insisting on fetching basics, it can make your frenzies a little awkward when you're just trying to like chain spells off frenzy, because sometimes it can turn Doomsday into a brick if there's not a if you don't have enough black mana. So that's always something to be conscious of. All right, so that was game one. They knew what was going on. They knew the drill, so they scooped there. Um, so on to game two. So I'll be on the draw this time, and this hand is kind of, I don't know. This hand is borderline. I decided to keep it because A, I'm on the draw. B, it's got some disruption, and then it's got cantrips and mana. So I'm just looking for a business spell, and it has a little bit of disruption. So like I think this is a hand I would definitely keep in game one. It's not hot against depths, but I don't think it was worth throwing back. So they Thoughtseize me, which is kind of a predictable turn one for them, and they take my Thoughtseize, which basically leaves me free to just cantrip. But I'm going to end up holding up the Brainstorm here to protect my Lim-Dûl's Vault from a second discard spell, which they have. So here I'm able to Brainstorm, and I actually think I screwed up that. So I put the Vault back when I should have probably put the Doomsday back, because then if they decided to take my Echoing Truth instead of the Dark Writ, then I just kill them. But they left me the Echoing Truth, which means that they're going to need another discard spell to clear the Echoing Truth. So I just pass here. Now they still been scrying for the Dark Depths, but they know that I have the Echoing Truth. So here they have another Thoughtseize, and they take the Echoing Truth. But so I don't fire off the Lim-Dûl's Vault there because I know I have a Doomsday on top, and I know that I can just pass the turn and Lim-Dûl's Vault for Dark Ritual because they can't kill me on their turn. They have to make Merit Lage, and it'll have Summoning Sickness. So I'm thinking, my line of thinking here is that I can just Lim-Dûl's Vault for Dark Ritual and kill them. And I actually will see here. So they play out the Lotus Petal, and then they play out the Dark Depths, and they pass. Now, this is an interesting point. Hold on a sec. Let me get my land. Okay, so I'm going to put Lim-Dûl's Vault on the stack here. And I'm thinking about it, and I realize that I should actually Lim-Dûl's Vault. I don't realize on this one. I put this Vault pile away. But I realized afterwards that I should get a Lotus Petal instead of Dark Ritual. Because I have a Dark Ritual in my graveyard, if they Surgical me on my draw step to try and take my draw, like if they have a Surgical, the time to do it is on my end step. But if they're greedy and they wait until my draw step to do it, then I'll lose the ritual and lose the game. And so what I should actually do is get a Lotus Petal because that's not in my graveyard. So if they Surgical me on my draw step, so that basically I'm playing, like if they have a Surgical, they can just screw up my pile, my Lim-Dûl's Vault, and that's whatever. They have the Surgical, fine. But if they have it, I can at least play around Surgical on my draw step, which is minimal but relevant because I can do it at basically no cost. So that's what I end up doing. Whoops. So I'll just hit play. So here's the Lotus Petal. So I'll keep this pile. And they do have a Surgical, and they do it in my end step, so it doesn't really matter, but they Surgical my Echoing Truth. So at that point, I had a lot of live draws. I had all the Dark Writs left in my deck, all my Lotus Petals, and any land that could make black were all live draws there. Unfortunately, I drew the islands, so it doesn't look like I'm going to win this game. It's not likely that I'm going to win this game. But so at this point in the game, I'm thinking, all right, like obviously there's still a potential for game 3. So I'm thinking, what are my outs? Preordaining into a Dark Ritual obviously isn't going to be good enough because I can't Doomsday. So basically, I need to play out the LED, preordain into Experimental Frenzy, and get a really lucky chain of draws, which you will see is exactly what happens. So I crack for black, doesn't really matter here. I put bottom both and rip the Frenzy off the top, cast it, and there's a fucking Lim-Dûl's Vault right on top of my deck. And I have enough life that I could cycle through my whole deck to set up the LED and the Doomsday that were in those first two piles, but I end up not having to do it because I find a pile that has LED and Doomsday in it right there. So easy peasy, just set it up and LED, Doomsday, they're dead. And I don't even think they had me finish resolving this Doomsday. I think they just scooped at this point. But yeah, so that's how it goes. So obviously I got lucky there, but it was worth, like, there was a possibility for a kill, so it was worth trying for that possibility. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.